How to store fresh potatoes for 1 year without spoiling. Hello everyone, welcome back to Tracy Tips channel. Have you ever stocked up on potatoes, only to find them sprouting, soft, or even green when you need them most? It's frustrating, and it's not just wasteful, it can be harmful. Sprouted potatoes contain solanine, a natural toxin that may cause stomach pain or nausea if eaten too much. But don't worry. Today I'll show you how to store fresh potatoes for up to 1 year without spoiling. These tips are incredibly simple, one you already know, and one that will totally surprise you. Some people think that if they don't use up all the potatoes, they just need to store them in the refrigerator because cooler temperatures will help keep them fresh longer. But in reality, low temperatures cause the starch in potatoes to convert into sugar, making the potatoes unnaturally sweet. When cooked, they turn a darker color and can form acrylamide, a compound that's harmful to your health. Besides that, the flavor and the fluffy texture that potatoes are known for also disappear. That's why you definitely need to watch all 6 potato storage tips I'm sharing today. First method, use a cardboard box plus baking soda. This is a very familiar method that Tracy, shared in a recent video. It's extremely simple, easy to do, and highly effective. You just need to prepare a clean cardboard box. First, prepare a few sheets of dry paper or newspaper, fold them neatly to fit the bottom of the box. Then line the bottom with 1 or 2 layers, depending on how thick your paper is. This lining helps absorb excess moisture and prevents the potato's skin from getting scratched. Next, gently arrange the potatoes in the box, being careful not to stack them too heavily on top of one another. Then sprinkle a layer of baking soda powder over the surface of the potatoes. Using baking soda helps absorb moisture effectively and limits sprouting. Where in the world are you watching from, and how's your day going so far? Let's dive into some simple tips that can truly make your life easier. And hey, before we get started, tap that follow button. These kinds of videos can slip away in your feed, and you might not find this channel again. Don't miss out. After filling the box, line the top with another layer of paper, then close the lid and place it in a well-ventilated, cool area, away from direct sunlight and high humidity. With this method, potatoes can stay fresh and maintain their quality for up to nearly a year without becoming soft, sprouting, or shriveling. This is truly an incredibly useful tip for anyone who likes to stock up on food or lives in an area where it's hard to find fresh potatoes all year round. Method 2. Wrap each potato with plastic wrap and dried tea leaves. If you only have a moderate amount of potatoes and want to preserve them really well, the method of individually wrapping each one with plastic wrap is very suitable. This method is especially effective at maintaining the natural moisture inside the potato while also limiting exposure to air and reducing the chances of shriveling, sprouting, or rotting. First, prepare some plastic wrap and a bit of dried tea leaves. You can even reuse tea leaves that have already been brewed and dried. Tea leaves not only help absorb moisture, but also have mild antibacterial properties, which support better preservation. Then place each potato on a piece of plastic wrap, add a bit of dried tea leaves, and wrap it tightly. Gently twist both ends of the wrap to seal it well and prevent too much air from getting inside. After finishing, you should place the wrapped potatoes in a plastic basket, a wicker basket, or a paper bag with air holes. Absolutely avoid using a completely sealed bag, as it can cause the potatoes to become steamed. Place the basket in a cool, dark, and well-ventilated area, away from direct sunlight. One important thing to note is that you should not store potatoes next to onions or bananas, because these types of produce release ethylene gas, which makes the potatoes sprout quickly. With this method, you can confidently keep your potatoes fresh and in good condition for several months without worrying about spoilage. Method 3. Use a breathable wicker basket. If you love simplicity and natural materials, then storing potatoes in a wicker basket is the perfect choice. Wicker baskets are not only easy to find, but they also have the great advantage of being highly breathable, which helps prevent moisture buildup, thereby reducing the risk of mold, sprouting, or rotting. When using a wicker basket, first line the bottom with a layer of dry paper or a thin cloth to lightly absorb moisture and keep the potatoes cleaner. Then place the potatoes inside, arranging them in just 1 to 2 layers. Avoid stacking them too high, as the ones on the bottom can get crushed, bruised, or spoil more quickly. If you have a large quantity of potatoes, you can divide them into several smaller baskets instead of piling everything into one. Then place the basket in a cool, shaded, well-ventilated area, such as a corner of the kitchen that doesn't get direct sunlight. Avoid placing it directly on damp ground, as that can cause the potatoes to trap moisture and start sprouting. However, you need to check the potatoes regularly each day to catch early signs of sprouting, softening, or discoloration. If you find any, remove them immediately to avoid affecting the rest of the batch. With this method, you can keep your potatoes fresh for a long time without needing to refrigerate them. Method 4. Prepping and freezing potatoes. If you're someone with a busy schedule and want to save cooking time while still keeping your potatoes fresh and tasty, then prepping and freezing is a wonderfully convenient solution. First, choose firm potatoes that haven't sprouted. Then wash the skins thoroughly to remove any dirt and peel off the outer layer. Next, carefully peel off the skin, then cut the potatoes into bite-sized pieces, slices, shreds, cubes, or sticks, depending on the dish you plan to cook. After that, prepare a pot of clean water and bring it to a boil over high heat. Once the water reaches a boil, lower the heat slightly and blanch the potatoes for about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the size you cut them. This blanching step helps deactivate the enzymes that cause discoloration and keeps the texture of the potatoes intact during freezing. Right after blanching, take the potatoes out and immediately soak them in a bowl of ice water to cool them quickly and stop the cooking process. Soak them for the same amount of time you blanched them. Then remove the potatoes and let them drain. Use a clean towel to pat them dry until completely moisture-free. Next, divide the drained potatoes into small portions based on how much you'll use at once. Put them in zip-top bags or plastic containers with tight lids, leaving about 0.5 inch of space at the top to allow for expansion during freezing. Label with the freezing date and store in the freezer. With this method, potatoes can stay fresh for up to 12 months without losing flavor. When you need them, just take them out, thaw, and cook. No extra prep needed. So convenient, right? Method 5. Burying in dry sand. This is the most unusual and curiosity-sparking method because many people might have never heard of it. Burying potatoes in dry sand. First, you'll need to prepare clean river sand or construction sand that has been thoroughly dried. The drier the sand, the better it will preserve the potatoes. This is a key factor, because if the sand contains moisture, the potatoes can easily grow mold or sprout. Next, take a clean cardboard box and spread a layer of dry sand on the bottom. Then place a single layer of potatoes on top, making sure the tubers don't overlap. Add another layer of sand to cover them. If there's still space in the box, you can add another layer of potatoes, then finish with a final layer of dry sand. The sand acts as a barrier, insulating the potatoes from outside air and humidity. It helps prevent bacterial growth and keeps the potatoes completely dry. Finally, close the lid of the box and place it in a shaded, dry, and well-ventilated spot, away from direct sunlight and far from damp walls or ground surfaces where mice, cockroaches, or high humidity may be present. Using this method, you can keep your potatoes fresh for 1 to 2 months. It's especially suitable for those who buy potatoes in bulk or want to store them gradually during the rainy season. Method 6. Storing potatoes in a ventilated plastic container. This final method is extremely simple, yet highly effective, because you just need to choose a plastic container and the right storage location to extend the shelf life of your potatoes. First, I always keep the skin on the potatoes and avoid washing them, because the layer of dirt and dust on the surface helps retain their natural moisture. If the potatoes are still damp, I just leave them in a dry place until they're completely dry. Next, I prepare an empty plastic container, usually repurposed from a used water jug, then cut an opening at the top like I'm doing here. I also poke small holes around the sides of the container. This method allows the potatoes to release gases and stay ventilated without trapping moisture, which could otherwise create a humid environment during storage. Then I take a dry paper towel and wipe out any remaining moisture inside the container, making sure it's as dry as possible before storing. Once the container is dry, I place the potatoes inside. After that, I set the container in a dark, cool, and dry place, avoiding direct sunlight or any heat sources. The ideal temperature is around 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This condition helps reduce the risk of sprouting, preserves the natural vitamin C content, and slows down the conversion of starch into sugar, which can alter both the flavor and color. It's important to avoid all exposure to light because when potatoes are exposed to strong light, their skins can turn green and produce solanine, a toxic compound harmful to health. With this method, I can keep potatoes fresh for a long time while maintaining all their nutritional value. So, Tracy just shared with you 6 incredibly effective ways to keep potatoes fresh for a long time, from using a cardboard box with baking soda, wrapping each potato in plastic wrap with dried tea leaves, storing in a breathable wicker basket, freezing after prepping, burying them in dry sand, to simply keeping them in a cool, dark spot. Each method has its own advantages and is suitable for different situations and usage needs. If you find a tip that works for you, give it a try and let me know how it goes. Or if you have your own potato storage tricks, I'd love to read about them in the comments below, so we can all learn more from one another. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with your loved ones, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of the simple yet useful tips that Tracy will be sharing in upcoming videos. Thank you so much, and see you next time.